All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. February 9th, 10:01 in the morning. Football is out of here. Baseball's in. Um, Not exactly in, but that's traditionally what we say as soon as that football game is over, that baseball's back. People are all down in Arizona and Florida getting ready. Officially, it will kick off here in a few days with pitchers and catchers, officially reporting, team meetings, physicals, all that sort of stuff. But might as well be today. Feels like it's today. So let's get going. Actually, some things got reported this morning, which gives us a little bit of an avenue into stuff to talk about. My friend Colin McHugh will come on at 11. We'll chat with him a little bit. And then we'll just kind of see what you guys have in the chat and what we want to do. Yes, baseball is back. Hope everybody's good. Still waiting on this coffee to cool down. Seahawks did, in fact, win. Did I watch any of the game? No. Did I watch the halftime show? Yes. Also, baseball's hot in the streets in the halftime show. Acuna hanging out in the back. Bad Bunny doing some... I saw him take a baseball swing at one point. And he's a huge ambassador for baseball in general. And if you're in a baseball clubhouse, you're going to hear an awful lot of Bad Bunny. So even though my kids and my wife had no idea what was going on, I felt like I watched and knew plenty of those songs. So that's where we're at. All right. So got a couple moves that happened this morning. We'll get right into them. Should we do the trade first or should we do Ozuna first? Maybe we'll do Ozuna first because I think I want to spend a little more time on the trade because I'm not really sure what I think about that yet. So, all right, Marcell Ozuna. Here's the report. 1-year deal with the Pirates, 12 years. There is a $16 million mutual option, it looks like, and it looks like the way the 12 breaks down is 10.5 in salary, 1.5 on the buyout of that mutual option, which almost guaranteed to happen. But anyway, you gotta give it to the Pirates. Everybody's making fun of the Pirates, myself included, at times. But I also this is right on brand with what I think they're trying to accomplish. They're making a run for it this season. They knew that they needed to fix their offense. They needed a power bat. I felt like this guy was a good fit the whole way, and they are able to reel him in on the 1-year deal. So you got to give credit where credit is due. This is the most the Pirates have done in an offseason in as long as I can remember. Probably ever since, they had made that Russell Martin move or whatever years ago. And now he is Ozuna from the Pirates, not Ozuna from the Braves. So hopefully there's no more traffic stops. I don't know how friendly they'll be in Pennsylvania or West Virginia, wherever he chooses to live. But I agree with Maya. This was predictable. This was a good fit. From the beginning, they need power. Their offense was really, really horseshit last year, and it's going to be much less horseshit this year. So let's look at what they got right now. Spencer Horowitz, who we only played about half a season last year. He was a big trade piece the previous year from the Blue Jays. Brandon Lau, this was a power move. They made a trade, got the raise as he's on a 1-year prove-it situation. Not prove it, but this is a 1-year gamble because he's a big-time power bat. Terrible defender, swings at everything, but big-time power bat, something they were lacking, especially from the left side. Reynolds are looking to bounce back. O'Hearn was a nice 2-year signing with a guy with pop, guy who's been around now, kind of came into his own in Baltimore, was with the Padres last year. Now they have Ozuna, the big boy. Oh, Horowitz was from Cleveland. My bad. That's my bad. Sorry, guys. Ozuna, though, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. But big upside on the offensive side from Ozuna, and then he can't play the field, but that's okay. Then O'Neal Cruz, the ultimate wild card behind him, Nick Gonzalez, contact specialist, Triolo, who's really a pretty solid player, and Joey Bart actually has played pretty good at catcher since being there. The bench is even interesting. First overall pick, Henry Davis, Nick York, a little bit of a utility situation, former Red Sox first rounder. The password, also from the Red Sox, a fairly high upside offensive player, and Jake Mangum. So this offense has been completely reimagined. The only returners in the starting lineup would be Horowitz, Reynolds, Cruz, Gonzalez, Triolo, and Bart. And those are all the guys that have potential and or value in the moment. So I like what they did in terms of going for it this year. I've talked a little bit about how I think the calculus is they're all in on this season. And if it fails, you're going to see a lot of things change. You might see a Skeens move. Um, you're going to see like a lot of these one year salaries come off the books, and the Pirates will probably look to do a full reset. But this is Ben Sherrington's. This is him going for it. They have the pitching. They believe in that. And he only got 1 year left on his deal, and it's time to go. Nick Gonzalez at shortstop. Interesting. Yeah, he's been a second baseman. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Horowitz was Jays to Guardians for Jimenez, who then immediately flipped to Pirates. Okay, that's why I got confused. I knew Horowitz was a Blue Jays prospect at one point, and I think he had been on the big league team at one point a little bit as well. Joey Bart found a home after a tough run with the Giants. It's true, he did have a tough run with the Giants. And then, obviously, the old adage of the no such thing as a bad one-year deal. So the Pirates are comfortable getting comfortable for this 1 year. It's not like their payroll's in the top half of the league or anything, even with all these moves. But this offense should be much better, especially in the power department. And I don't remember the last time. Well, I guess I do remember the last time they were good. When they had power hitters. Pedro Alvarez stands out, Starling Marte, Polanco, obviously McCutchen. And that's the second part of this, is that this probably is the end of the Kutch era. There's been a lot of, seems like, uncomfortability and awkwardness between the two sides. Seems like Kutch clearly wants to come back. Seems like the Pirates were looking to make a little bit of an upgrade. Looks like the communication was a little bit of a breakdown there. But that's going to be it probably for Andrew McCutchen in Pittsburgh. Much less horseshit is a very analytical term. Yeah, sometimes you just got to call it what it is. I mean, they didn't have a single batter last year that had above 100 OPS plus or WRC plus. And I know that you can go blame a broken humidor or, we faced a lot of tough pitchers. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. They didn't produce. They were really, really bad. Let's go look at the standings to drive that home. Not the standings, but at the stats to drive that home. League batting 2025. They were the worst in WOBA. 290 WOBA. Just ahead of the Guardians. So it is possible. You can still make the postseason being really bad at hitting. But look at the other teams. The Rockies, the White Sox, the Rangers, who missed the postseason largely because they couldn't hit, the Nats, the Angels, the Cardinals, the Orioles, who had to upgrade their offense significantly, the Giants, the Royals, the Twins. Finally, you get to the Reds, another playoff team. So they had a lot of improvement, a lot of room for improvement offensively, and that's what they're trying to do. It's pretty obvious to me. What about ex-WOBA? By ex-WOBA, they were fifth worst. Not as bad, but not good. And then in the power department, this is what really stands out. They only hit 117 home runs last year. The next lowest is 148. So clearly they had to address that. And that's what they've done, particularly with the three big moves, Brandon Lau, Ryan O'Hearn, and now Marcell Ozuna. So let's get into Marcell Ozuna. Everybody wants to make the jokes about him, obviously. And he did have a kind of a weird year last year. But you don't have to look too far in the past when this guy was banging at the plate. 23-24, 904 OPS with 40 pumps in 2023. And in 2024, 924 OPS with 39 home runs. I feel like in that stretch of time, in that 2 year stretch of time, he was literally a top 5 hitter, top 6 hitter. So obviously you need to bounce back to that. Last year, 755 OPS, only the 21 home runs. Here's the overall profile on terms of the Baseball Savant sliders from last season. 354 ex-WOBA, 239 expected batting average. That's not what he's there for. He's there to hit home runs. Expected slug, 66th percentile. Barrels, 70th percentile. Average exit velo, about league average. You would think that would be higher. Bat speed, above average. Squared up, below average. Chase is good. Whiff, could be worse. Strikeouts could be worse. Draws a crap load of walks. So really, it looks like he's right there. Let's go look at what changed from the previous 2 years when he was incredible. In fact, when we get McHugh on here later, since he played with Marcel, I want to ask him some questions. Just looking at it from the big picture, it looks like his max EV really trailed off, which does make me think that there maybe was some sort of physical ailment impairing him last year a little bit. I mean, you look at the max EVs from his entire career, they're all 93rd percentile or higher. And then last year, kind of weird, 77th percentile. Walks were great, arguably the best they've ever been. Whiff is fine. Chase rate's gotten really good the last 2 years, so he's getting more disciplined as time goes on. Speed obviously is not there, but who cares? He doesn't even have to play the field. Bat speed did decline just a bit, but the swing length got a little bit shorter, so that's a little bit of an interesting relationship there. Trying to get even a little bit tighter, but that equated to a little bit less bat speed and probably a little bit less total exit velocity. Tells me maybe he couldn't really let it rip at the plate, couldn't really let it eat. Let's see here. We have something in here. He had some sort of type of tear in his hip last season. Well, that would explain a lot of these numbers. But I thought he had really unlocked something in 23-24. I mean, he had been a good hitter before that, but it felt different in those years. His swing seemed to have changed a little more. He was almost more in like a Justin Turner. He started very close together, catch the ball out front, and try to loft it out there. This is a notable approach change too. First pitch swing percentage. Look at that. So he went the completely opposite direction of what I've been recommending with some guys that are down in this range. 18.3% first pitch swing percentage. His previous low was 29%, so he really decided to be patient last year. Again, something's telling me he couldn't let it rip the way he normally wanted to let it rip. Way less swinging overall. And kind of maybe takes the approach of people still think I'm dangerous, but I'm not as dangerous as I was, so I should take some more? Find that a little weird to me. Huh? Hip is a very bad injury at his age. That could be part of it for sure. Took a ton of pitches to just try to walk because of the injury. So, okay, so we need to find out where he's at physically. What does it say about here on the about trade rumors on this signing? Because maybe they'll have a little bit of injury stuff here. So, roller coaster season, scorching start April and May to continue building off of where he was before. One of the league's worst hitters in June, and it dovetailed with a hip injury, which Ozuna continued to play with at less than 100%. Impossible to say whether that, age, or a combination of both is a driving factor. I think it's the injury. I don't think it's the age. If he came out like gangbusters at the beginning of the season last year, and then he gets hurt, and all of a sudden everything starts changing, I think that's fairly straightforward. I would say it's fairly straightforward. Looks like get him healthy and just let him hit. I don't see the problem here. This guy's gonna rake this year. I have a feeling now. As long as that hip's healthy. I mean, obviously you don't want it to linger forever, and he is 35, but I'm not seeing a whole lot in the profile here that's telling me. I think we'll probably be able to tell by his aggression early in the season. You know, how hard he's swinging it in spring training, et cetera, et cetera. But if you get this guy right, he's really good. Really, really good. He's got a lot of rhythm to his swing in terms of the way he kind of leans into it, and he keeps his hands back really, really well. So they start there. It's a very simple move where he kind of just compresses, and then he's just trying to get the head out front. He wants his connection point to be way out front. So that's what a good Marcell Ozuna swing looks like. And that's what the Pirates are banking on. Honestly, I'm surprised more teams weren't in on him, given that it seems pretty clear that this is an injury-based thing. Now, of course, they're probably looking into the medicals, and they have a little bit more insight on that. But if I got any realistic, report, any type of report that hip was going to be healed up, I would have been all over this guy because, again, hitters like this don't grow on trees. Here's an Oppo home run. Man, the ball really flies in that yard, huh? Even Denzel didn't go for that one. But yeah, it does look like he just wasn't able to swing as hard as typical. Oh, off crochet here.
Deep to right center here off the bat of Ozuna. How far is this one going to go? It's going to go over the fence.
So I guess that's what we'll be tracking early on with him. It's just basically the physical attributes, the swing speed, how aggressive he is early. That's stuff that I think that we will learn really, really quickly. And then we'll kind of know whether this was a genius move, because this is a great price for what he's bringing to the table. Obviously, if he's hurt, then it's all for nothing, but I feel pretty good about it. All right, what else we got here in the chat? Griffin doesn't have much competition for that starting shortstop job. Totally true. I mean, right now, to the chat's point earlier, Gonzalez is in there at short. Nothing's going to hold back Connor Griffin. Again, I think the incentives really line up for him to be an incredibly young phenom type promotion this year, if not break out of camp. I know he's young and he has only been in AA for a stretch, but again, he's got the upside to turn this offense from good into really, really good really fast. If you get a Connor Griffin in there, guy with top of the scale speed, forget everything else, but he hits the ball hard and he's got speed. He's going to play probably better defense than Nick Gonzalez at shortstop. And you loop him into this group towards the top of the order, you might have a really hard team to deal with. You'll have a team with speed and power from both sides of the plate. Reynolds is just a great all-around player, and this is the first time he's had great hitters around him. So suddenly I'm a little higher on the Pirates. I think this Ozuna move kind of does tip the scales a little bit. Now they have a real offense. So I'm curious how this is going to play out, man. The NL Central is going to be pretty damn competitive this year, minus the Cardinals, who traded away the world. But the Reds have really pushed in hard, the Cubs as well. And the Brewers, who we're about to talk about in a minute, they just made a pretty savvy trade, I feel like, this morning. And it's interesting. Gained some pitching in it. But, the Brewers had 97 wins last year, so we can't completely count them out. I know they don't have Peralta, but this NL Central is going to be spicy this year. And the Pirates are looking to do, a 20, 25, 30 game swing here in terms of results. So let's see. Fix that humidor, get better players in there, and then let's see what the Buccos do this year. Sad Cut's done in Pittsburgh. Maybe he lands in Miami now. I don't know. This is a sad scenario. You get to the very end of your career, and really you want to end in a first full circle type of manner. I feel like for Kutch, it makes sense for him to be with Pittsburgh, but I think they just ran out of this, we're going to keep you on the team just because we love you time frame that they were in. I think now we're going for it, and realistically, you could be a bench player, perhaps, but we're hunting bigger fish, and Marcell Ozuna was that bigger fish. If Ozuna's the DH, where will O'Hearn play, or do you move Horowitz off first? See, I think O'Hearn's going to play first, but then I don't know. I don't know the mix of how they're going to let this play out. Maybe left on left, O'Hearn doesn't get a lot of ABs, and then that takes care of that a little bit. But you're going to face a lot of righties, and they're going to want them both in the lineup. It's a good point. Aramis Ramirez back in the day. Horowitz can play second base. He came up at second, but he's not great there. Yeah, Brandon Lau's not great there either. Brandon Lau's been graded really poorly at second over the last few years, so I don't know if this is going to be the greatest defensive team. We got Kevin Kiermaier giving private lessons to O'Neal Cruz in center. Hopefully that works out. I don't see a ton of defensive upside in this team outside of Triolo, but they don't care. They're going to hit, and they also think they're going to strike out the world on the mound. I mean, this is really why they're pushing in. Skeens, obviously, best pitcher on the planet, him and Skubal. Keller, Ashcraft, you're going to get Jared Jones back this year, Bubba Chandler, who they have very high hopes for, and then they signed Urquidy, which I think is a savvy back of the rotation, innings eater type of guy, playoff pedigree, smart pitcher, knows how to mix it. He's been playing in winter ball, so I like that move as well. I do think the bullpen, could be a lot better, but there's some explosive arms in here, so we'll see. And this is probably the first year, if they're planning on being good, where they're going to need this bullpen to step up, because a bad bullpen doesn't really hurt you when you're already on a bad team. But on a good team, if you have a bad bullpen, then that really starts to get leaky fast. He couldn't swing last year for a while. He was injured, and that's what it's looking like when I look at Ozuna. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for him. I really am. I'm really hopeful for him. because yeah, so here's the last 50 rolling xWOBA. Looks like it started to creep up back to league average at the very end, but he had a period there where he really dropped below. He was raking and then he just fell off. And the only thing I can think of is injury, because you don't just like age in the middle of the season like that. You know, that physical ability, it's not just going to fall off a cliff out of nowhere. If Ozuna can do an 825 OPS, that's great. Thought Suarez might be a better fit in Pittsburgh. So apparently they offered him. So Suarez was the initial target here for the Pirates, and he would have played some third base. They probably would have had Triolo play short, because Triolo's a pretty good defender, versatile defender. I mean, I'm guessing that would have been the case, but I don't think this is a bad consolation prize at all. Marcell Ozuna's a really good hitter. Really, really good hitter. O'Hearn is a plus first baseman, says S-Man 000. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about him playing first. That will help their defense. But then, yeah, they're going to have to figure out what to do with Horwitz. So we'll figure all that out. 400 bombs, 900 for 2 years is elite these days. I feel like that's elite always. 40 bombs is no joke. Is the Pirates' defense going to be awful? I think it might be pretty bad, but I can't tell yet overall. If we go through some of the players, let me just go through some of the players defensively. So, like, you go look at Lau, who's going to play almost every day at second. I mean, he's a first percentile outs above average guy, so that's not good. What about Reynolds? Reynolds, it's not horrible, but -2 outs above average. Let's look at O'Hearn. O'Hearn, excellent at first. Good call there. 5 outs above average. Good job there. Horwitz is slightly above average on defense, so he's not a total concern. Cruz, I think Cruz actually graded out decent in center last year, right? He's got the arm for it, so he's about neutral in terms of range. Who else am I forgetting here? Gonzalez and I know Triolo was up for the Gold Glove, so he's probably gonna look good. Let's look at Nick Gonzalez. Nick Gonzalez also +4. So okay, maybe they're not going to be so bad. They have some defenders here. They have some defenders here, but their second base is a big black hole of bad defense. But overall, I mean, this is such a better offensive group than they had last year. This guy was sneaky good. Look at Triolo's season last year. 667 OPS, which doesn't really tell the story. It's really the defense. He can run, and he's a +6 defender, and I also like some of the attributes he has at the plate, Jared Triolo. So I feel pretty good about what the Pirates are building. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to crack this postseason or not. I think they have some big-time swing players, in particular, if Connor Griffin can come up and be electric, or if Bubba Chandler can come up and, you know, stay consistent and just see what they get out of Jared Jones. But they're a much more intriguing team. It is a huge gap they have to make up, though, in a very competitive division now. You're talking about a 25-win swing here. 20-win swing? 20-win swing would be nice. Maybe a little less than that gets you in. Maybe you need 15 more to get to 86. So, okay, so 15 wins. You got to get at least 15 more wins. Is this team 15 wins better? I don't know. We're going to find out. All right, what else we got here? Maybe teams were put off by his past run-ins with the law. I mean, probably that's some of it, but we'll see. Had to pass the Pirates physical. Maybe he's doing okay. You see the stuff about Pat Connaughton trying to go back to baseball now that his NBA career is over. I did read about that. I know that he did pitch briefly, so it'd be cool to see him do that. Haven't had a lot of guys be able to pull this off. Pitching would make the most sense. Hitting cold turkey after like a year off would be really hard. How will the Pirates configure their defense? Ozuna has to be DH. Does O'Hearn or Horwitz? Yeah, we went through this, and I'm not sure the answer to this. Reynolds moved to center. Then you'd have to move Cruz back into the infield. I don't think they want to do that. Pittsburgh is a great baseball town, no doubt about that. The Yinzers, they know what they're doing out there. They love their sports. They love the Pirates. And I love that ballpark when it's jammed out. Hasn't been in a while, but it's going to be interesting. I disagree a bit about the Pirates 1 year before we see them shop Skeens. You have about 4 years of overlap between Skeens and Griffin. I think they're all in for years to come. So I think if they show progress this year, like they get close to the wild card or they win the wild card, they might push forward with this plan, JT4_4. And I can see that world, but I also think the reason why you find out now, you kind of find out where you're at now, is because Skeens is the elephant in the room. Skeens is going to be setting arbitration records each time through. We just saw what that looked like for Skubal. Those numbers are going to be big each time through. And he's not going to get $30 million the first year or whatever, but he's going to get a big raise. And also his trade value, while big always because he's Paul Skeens, is massive when there's years of control attached to it. And right now Sherrington's on his last year of his deal. A lot of these moves are 1-year deals. Ozuna, Lau, I understand that O'Hearn was 2 years. I understand that a lot of these young guys have control, but I do think it makes sense for them to at least consider resetting here a little bit if this year is a disaster. Like if they're just mediocre again, even if they're a 500 team and they make a big swing, but it's not enough to get them back into contention, you have to consider it because trading Skeens with 3 years of control will net you probably, if you pick correctly, will net you a new window, like an actual window of competition. Like you can get enough value back. Now, I'm not saying I want that to happen. I want them to succeed and I want Skeens to stay there. I think that'd be better for the game and better for the Pirates, obviously. I'm just saying I do think that they have a lot riding on this year, and the results of this year are really going to dictate what happens going forward, in my opinion. What else we got here? Pirates offered Suarez multiple years, but he wanted familiarity and the smaller ballpark. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of skepticism from players, too, about how good the Pirates are going to be. We just haven't seen it in a while, you know? So we'll see. Dennis Santana is currently the closer, currently listed. Former Met for a hot second with us. Great dude. One of the friendliest dudes I've come across. Really liked him a lot. So we'll see. I mean, Soto has history closing, as does Lawrence. Montgomery has a crazy arm. Matson's got a good arm. I mean, they'll figure this out. It's just, but yeah, Santana, which is crazy to say, he's kind of one of the caballos on this team, one of the OGs, him and Gregory Soto. So, yeah, he's penciled in there right now. Pirates have the starters trying to improve the offense, but need bullpen or it won't matter. This is kind of my take. Like, you don't realize how important the bullpen is until you're in position to win a lot of games and you start letting some of those slip. So, I mean, bullpen can always be improved. Guys can pop, but I do feel like this current group is not quite playoff ready yet, but we'll see. Did you see KK talk about what he did with Cruz on MLB Network? Yeah, I watched a little bit of that clip that I saw. Obviously, KK, trying to be an outfield superstar consultant, which is something that a lot of people do on the hitting side or pitching side. Now he's trying to bring his outfield expertise, and him and Pilar really were the guys. So I'm trying to help O'Neal Cruz, I think, with a lot of the fundamentals and a lot of the low hanging fruit things that he can clean up. That's what it looked like to me. It didn't look like anything revolutionary. Maybe Trollo at shortstop if it's not Griffin. See, I could see that because Trollo's a very good defender. But I think Griffin's coming fast. Maybe not opening day, but he's coming fast for sure. Ozuna offered Ozuna all the Primanti blows he could eat. How could he say no? Pittsburgh's got some good food over there too. Not for nothing. Got the sandwich spots. Got some good breakfast spots. Get some Amish influence in there every now and then. It's funny because my parents both went to Franklin and Marshall College, which is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they grew up with a lot of they went to college with a lot of Pirates fans. One of our closest family friends is a huge Pirates fan, and he would take me out, actually an orthopedic surgeon. He would take me out every year that I was in Pittsburgh with his son, and we'd always go eat, and his dream was for me to be on the Pirates. And then I had to break the heart last year when I got offered by the Pirates, but said no. So I felt bad about that. But overall, huge respect for the Pirates. A lot of my close friends played for the Pirates and really enjoyed their time there. Tyone, James, Garrett Cole, etc. Pedro Alvarez was a guy I grew up with. So I'm looking forward to them getting back into contention. Griffin will get the look he deserves. 165 weighted runs created plus with 21 bangers and 65 stolen bases. He's 19. He's a monster. He's the number one prospect in baseball for a reason, and I think there's a reason why you're going to see this dude pop pretty quick. If you just go to our top 100 right here, there he is, Connor Griffin, number 1. We looked at him when we did our prospect look around. This was the season last year. Can't make this shit up, folks. He hit .333 between 3 teams with a .415 on base, .527 slug for a .942 OPS. Had 161 hits in the minors last year. 23 doubles, 4 triples, 21 bombs, 94 RBIs, 50 walks, 122 Ks, 65 bags. And really, he didn't slow down at any level. He put up a .960 OPS in Double-A. Is probably one of the youngest players in the league when he was up there for his last 21 games. Like, he really didn't slow down. This guy's an absolute monster. Future value, overall grade 70. You're talking a super duper star here. This is like Bobby Witt Jr., Roman Anthony, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, huge number 1 prospect vibes. So, like, I'm super high on this guy. He's so twitchy. His swing is so simple. Maybe we can have a little fun. We can go look at a little bit more of this dude in a minute. I have to re-sign into my account here. But Connor Griffin, man. If he comes up and he's what we think he is, and I really do think he's the real deal, the speed, like he's shortstop Trout. Big time guy. Was Vladdy the last 70? Yeah, see, I think Trout. I think Witt, Trout, like these are like the type of comparisons. Tatis, like a guy with like speed, power, combo, premium position. It's really it's definitely real deal. Let me find Connor real quick. All right, these are all the hard hit balls, and we've done this already once, but just take a look at how compact this swing is. And just how pro he looks already. Like you would think a guy like this would just be a raw guy, but it's a short, deliverable swing, quick to the ball. Uses the whole field, has the ability to use the whole field because he doesn't have to create anything at the plate. His amount of rotational power is just insane. Straight line drive swing. It's nothing too scoopy, which is one of the things I love about Bobby Witt's swing. Can't be exposed too bad by one pitch type or another. Guys are going to have to really figure out how to work the inside-outside game to get this guy out. You're not just going to be able to abuse him with fastballs. I don't think he has any problem with velocity. I couldn't be higher on this guy. I mean, everybody, the whole industry is, but when you watch him, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. Would you rather have Roman Anthony or Connor Griffin? Well, okay, this is a tough choice. I'm going to say Connor Griffin. And I love Roman, but Connor Griffin plays shortstop. And I think ultimately he has a chance to be Gold Glove caliber at short while also hitting just as good as Roman. So that's a little bit of a hot take because we've seen Roman debut, but Connor's not far behind him. And those are probably the 2 best prospects I've seen come up in a while. The combination of those 2. Got a little scissor in his swing as he demolishes this ball in Bradenton. See you later. This kid's going to be a beast. I really love him. I really love him a lot. I think he's a can't miss. I think it's so obvious. So we'll see. I have things in my fridge older than that. Born in 06. I was drafted in 06. So that's how it goes. Saw an article about scouts taking Griffin over Kurtz this offseason. I mean, you have to. Kurtz is a first baseman. I love Kurtz. He's probably already a top 10 hitter in the show. But, I mean, every single thing in my baseball watching body and brain, when I watch Connor Griffin swing it, when I watch him play shortstop, when I watch him run, when I watch him talk, it just tells me this guy's going to be in the All-Star game by the time he's 21, 22 years old. So, I'm pretty excited for this guy. to come up. How we feeling in the chat about the Pirates' chances to make the postseason this year? Do we feel okay? Have I looked at Tony Blanco? Let's go look at some Pirates prospects for a second, just to see who else they have potentially coming here. Ooh, coming soon? So we got to go back to 25. Tony Blanco Jr. way down here. Way down here is the 30th ranked prospect. So this is Tony Blanco's son. Wow, okay. Signed for $900,000 back in January 22. Glimpses of tremendous offensive potential along with what he needs, but he's very far away. He's 6'7", 243. Last year he played between rookie ball and A ball. He did hit 267 in A ball with a 368 on base in only 28 games. Did pump 7 home runs. Struck out a ton. His grades are interesting. 45 hit, 55 power, 40 run, 55 arm, 45 field, overall 40. So more of a lottery ticket guy, but this guy's a monster in terms of size. He won the Fall League Home Run Derby. Wow, 120.4 mile an hour double. So this is going to be a StatCast darling, obviously. It's going to take a little while, probably, for this guy to get to where he wants to get, but the offensive upside is there. It's so interesting to see, though, guys with, like, you would have assumed that the industry would have been like, oh, huge exit velocities, he's a top prospect. But nowadays, like, these hitters that don't make contact, they get really docked. I mean, you've seen Spencer Jones fall out of the top 100 on some lists. Damn, it looked like he got jammed there. That's my old field, Salt River Fields, and that ball just went out of sight. So you see the sides of this monster. We'll see if they can play or develop him, and then they might have like a beast on their hands. But he's always going to have some swing and miss in his game, obviously, as well. But I don't know. Intriguing prospect. Thanks for that question. Thanks for that question, so we could take a quick look. Also curious how fast my guy Seth Hernandez moves. One of my favorite guys in last year's draft, and I'm curious how he gets developed. The rare high school righty pitcher. All right. Sorry about that. Kurtz is a beast, though. Tough choice. I think they make the wild card. Okay, so that means you think they're better than a whole bunch of National League teams. If you have the 3 division winners and the 3 wild cards, that means they're better than at least a couple teams in the East, a couple teams in the West, a couple teams in their own division. It's going to be interesting. I know that the expanded playoffs gives them a chance. I would still take the under on this team. I don't think they quite get there, but they could be in the mix. This offense is going to be a lot better. PNC Park and those devoted fans deserve a good team in a playoff run. Nah, too many good teams that need to be beat out. Specter's kind of on my wavelength. If everyone else plays horribly, sure. I love Kurtz. Big Amish, great nickname. He's also from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is where my parents went to college, so rooting for him and his big churn the butter Selly on second base. Don't see them and the Reds both making it. Think the Reds are in there. It's going to be an interesting little battle between some of these NL Central teams for sure. 85 wins at best unless the other Central teams regress. Pirates 500-ish, maybe 84 wins. Well, then if I put it back, then I'm not on the show anymore, pal. Pirates can field a good basketball team with this size. They do have some monsters. You could argue the top hitters in the game right now, Judge, Ohtani, Cal, Kurtz, etc., all have swing and miss, but when they make contact, it goes. The big issue, the big denominator, the big thing is the lack of chase. That's the game changer. Like when we go look at some of the hitting profiles, and maybe we'll take a 2-second detour of this. You go look at the top hitters in the game. So, like, let's start with Judgy. You're not wrong. He's the best hitter in the game, so we'll start with him. You're not wrong. Like, there's whiff in this game. 2nd percentile whiff. The big thing is the chase. 84th percentile chase. He doesn't swing outside of the zone. Therefore, even though you're getting him the miss, you have to throw a bunch of pitches in the zone to get him out. And eventually, he's going to make contact. And when he makes contact, damage happens. Loud damage. So he's one example of that right there. Another one would be Schwarber. Same type of thing. There's also a lot of miss in his game and even too much strikeout in his game overall. But again, look at the chase. 90th percentile chase. So You got to get him out in zone too. Good luck with that. Good luck doing that consistently. Let's go look at Shohei. Here's Shohei, fourth percentile whiff. Chase, better than average though, 62nd percentile in chase. So again, you're going to have to get him out in the zone. Good luck. The difference is when you have a guy like O'Neal Cruz, who has the physical ability to match those guys, but then you see the chase number. Wow, chase number's not as bad as I thought, but it's still not great, still below average chase. When you combine it with below average chase is when you're in big trouble. So ultimately, that's what it comes down to for some of these big swing and miss guys is how much are you chasing? You're going to miss in zone, fine, but you can't miss out of the zone as well. Like you can't do both. If you do both, you're kind of in trouble. So yeah, Connor Griffin is a huge X factor for this team. And then hopefully their pitching holds up. I have them falling just a bit short, but we'll see. Having to not chase MLB quality pitching must be so hard. And I think a lot of it is approach based. So it's like, are you trying to play the game with the pitcher? Are you trying to get confused? You're trying to catch up, play chase all the time? Or are you having a disciplined approach where you say, I'm swinging in this area or this area, I'm hunting this pitch or this pitch? Because I think a lot of times if your approach is more specific, that allows you to lay off more stuff. So it's a big deal. Who has a higher ceiling, Witt or Griffin? I mean, it's hard to say. They're very similar. Hard to say Griffin's ceiling's any higher than Bobby's, but they're very similar players. Obviously, super young, dynamic, power speed combo shortstops. I think the Pirates starting pitching can tip them over the top to make the playoffs. A hungry Skeens. I just don't know what he can do better. Like, is he going to give up somehow less runs? Because having like a 1-9 back-to-back years is kind of hard to beat, but we'll see. Judge has sort of a hole in the zone, like up at times. But again, like he'll cover it. You can't do it twice in a row. You can maybe get him to miss it one time. He'll cover that up really fast. So the one pitch adjustments and then continuing to not chase is kind of the key there. The game is full of batting practice Babe Ruths that could hit at a mile but were easy outs. 100%. And that's why it's hard to tell. And a lot of times now it seems like for the prospect experts are now starting to sour on the guys with the big whiff rates. I mean, we've seen how it affected Murakami, even coming over, Spencer Jones, and really a lot of players that people are kind of up and down on. Like Eldridge is a big one this year for the Giants. All right, we're going to go look at this trade now in a second. If the Pirates in the wild card race at the deadline, I bet they will try and improve ownership and will give the GM the okay. I mean, I think they're all in for this year. So I think this is kind of like they're definitely going in here. It's not a hole permanently. It's a hole sometimes. You can go on to baseballandcoffee.com, and I will send you one in the mail. He might give up less runs. I'm just saying it's unlikely. It's unlikely. It's pretty hard to have a sub-2 ERA 3 years in a row. You're going to have some level of luck for that. All right, let's go look at the trade. Let's go look at this trade. This was an interesting one, so let's get the full dynamic on him on this trade here. Interesting trade. Caleb Durbin goes to the Red Sox. Here is the package. Milwaukee's getting Kyle Harrison and Shane Drohan. So the Red Sox are dealing out of that starter depth that we've talked about. This is the bottom end of it, but still, they just got Kyle Harrison in the trade for Devers. All the pieces they got for Devers are gone now. David Hamilton, who was a guy that they probably didn't want to play anymore, kind of a utility, light-hitting middle infielder. Boston gets Andrew Monasterio and Anthony Siegler, former first-rounder of the Yankees, actually, who was a switch-throwing, switch-hitting catcher type dude. Not sure how his career has progressed. Maybe we'll look into that in a minute. But this Durbin pickup is interesting. He's going to play third base for the Red Sox. So let's go look at the Red Sox. And, they've been hunting third base this whole year. No Bregman. I have to assume they were kicking the tires on Paredes. Obviously, we thought that Suarez might have been the right fit there. But they end up with Caleb Durbin. So there he is. They have him actually penciled in at second base right now, and they have Meyer at third. I don't know how that will play out. One of them will play third. One of them will play second. This is a guy who's been sought after now by two teams, been traded twice. He was an original Yankee. I think he went over in the Devin Williams trade from the Brewers to the Yankees, and now he's involved in this trade, and now he's a member of the Red Sox. So let's go look at Mr. Durbin, as this is the newest Red Sox. This is a very different outcome than what I expected, for sure. I thought they were going to throw money at the problem, and instead they threw prospect capital at the problem. So Durbin, 506 plate appearances last year, 445 at-bats, 11 homers, 18 bags, 256, 334, 387, 721 OPS, so it's slightly below average OPS. The Brewers are getting rid of one of their short kings, though, 5'7", 183. This was kind of the meta for the Brewers right now, going with the short guys. Hearing he will be a second baseman. Interesting. See, I think Durbin's going to play third. I think he's more of a third baseman, but we'll see. Reading in the chat here for a second. Milwaukee already have another 5'7" player in line to replace, Jet Williams, thanks to the Mets. Anyway, let's look at Durbin's StatCast from last year. So clearly a lot of these numbers are not very inspiring, but the plate discipline stuff kind of is there. He looks like he's probably a low bat speed, square it up type of guy. So we're looking at extreme contact approach. 95th percentile squared up, 72nd percentile chase, 96th percentile whiff, 98th percentile K. So, this type of offensive profile, it's not going to grade out. You're not going to become a monster doing this, but you might be an interesting piece in a lineup when you need contact. Now, it's funny because the Red Sox had been claiming that they were hunting right-handed power over the past calendar couple months, but instead they get a complete contact guy. Caleb Durbin. I want to go look at his bat tracking metrics right now. Curious about that. Swing path and intercept. Caleb Durbin. Okay. Take Cruz out of there. All right, so more flat than average on his swing path tilt, as well as attack angle, a little more of a line drive, slightly pull. Bat speed is below average, but he does square it up really well. So there's nothing in his profile that screams power. If he could pull the ball in the air a little bit more, he'll be obviously rewarded at Fenway. But I don't think that's really his game as much. Let me see what his pull in the air. It was 20.4, so that is part of his game, and maybe they're feeling like they can tap into that even more. Red Sox don't mind taking on a high contact type of righty who has some pull in his game, because at their ballpark that can really play. So kind of a weird move, though. Really thought they were hunting a bigger fish here, but they must really believe in the profile of Durbin. They must really see some stuff here. Looks like he's pretty good against the fastballs despite the slow bat speed. 328 xwOBA versus fastballs and lower versus the others. Just looking at that real quick. Crushes sinkers, medium speed sliders. Yeah, it's straight contact. I don't mind it. It's just an interesting fit with the Red Sox. Curious what you guys are thinking here. Kind of like the trade, to be honest. Third in NL Rookie of the Year. This is a guy that people have been high on. Like, people like him a lot. He's been with a few teams now. Braves, Yankees, Brewers, and now Red Sox. And I know Maya likes it because he's Jeff McNeil-esque. But I don't know, man. Let's go look at some of his balls that actually hit hard for homers. Just want to take a better look at the swing. Man, short guys love that high pitch, huh? I mean, that's the type of swing you're looking for if you're a Red Sox fan. Little get the head out. Take it to left. Nice swing. Taijuan Walker, no velocity, though, so probably not much to say here. Here's one in the Cubs off of Rogers. Yeah, his swing is totally built for the top half of the zone, being a little more flat, which gives you a little bit of lineup diversity where they probably have some more scoopy guys in there. Yeah, I mean, look at all these balls. They're up in the zone. You don't see guys smash up in the zone like this too often, which tells you his swing's short, his swing is flat, and he's short, so he's been used to getting pitched up his whole career. That's a walk-off ding-dong right there. Pretty sick. Let's watch a double. Probably a nice line drive. Ooh, he stayed through that, rode that ball out pretty well. I'd be pitching this guy away. I don't think he has the power to go oppo. So I'd be pitching him up and away, making him hit the fly ball to right field. And if he's diving, then you would crush him inside. But we're going to get to watch him a lot more because he's on the AL East now, which obviously is something I'm pretty locked in on. Jose Altuve Jr. I guess they like that swing path for Boston. I mean, I do think it's a good swing path for Boston. So the scouts must have liked him. The model must have liked him, and they go for it. Now, for the Brewers, this is interesting because they go ahead and they pick up Harrison and Drohan, who were both starter depth for the Red Sox. But Harrison's got big league time already. He was a big prospect coming up for the Giants. And they kind of needed to replenish some more pitching options now that Peralta's gone. So these guys are now part of the depth package that the Brewers will throw into this season. Sproat, Gasser, Crow, Rodriguez, Harrison, and Drohan. So they have some lefties in there. And this is what the Brewers do. They always have tremendous pitching depth. They're pretty good at developing the pitching too. Harrison, we know about him, low slot, kind of upshoot fastball, but really hasn't kind of hit the ground running the way that we were hoping when he first got called up. But now he's with the Brewers. This is what the Brewers do. Interesting, though, because they don't usually trade guys with a lot of control, but I think they did need to gain a little more pitching depth to balance out their team. As for what it means in their offense now, they have now Jet Williams penciled in here on Fangraphs roster resource as making the club and playing short, moving Joey Ortiz to third. Joey Ortiz is an outstanding defender, and he did play some third base when Adames was there, so he's familiar at third. And now Jet Williams has a clear path to potentially making this roster, so we'll see how that plays out. But it's hard to criticize the Brewers because they always find a way, right? They're just consistently good, and curious to see how this all plays out for them. I mean, Chorio, Terang, Contreras, Yelich, Vaughn, Frelick, Mitchell, Ortiz, Williams it's a very talented group. It's not a bad group at all. And now they have some more pitching options. Like right now, their rotation is Woodruff, who's been in and out of shoulder injuries for a while, obviously. Mizorowski, we know about him. Priester, it's like, do you buy into it? Patrick, same. Henderson, same. But now they have more options if they need to shuffle around a little bit. So I'm not going to doubt the Brewers, but interesting having these two teams lock it up. All right, what else we got here? Red Sox seem determined to have Marcelo play third. We'll see how long that lasts. The Red Sox wanted power, and they got IKF and Durbin. Not exactly power guys, two contact guys. I mean, both the very bottom of the scale expected slug. Sox also getting Monasterio, Anthony Stiegler, and a comp pick. I don't think any of those guys really move the needle that much, but I do think they would like a do-over with the Bregman negotiations. I mean, you give them the no-trade clause, you have your third baseman, but let's see how it plays out. I mean, clearly Breslow's not afraid to stick to his guns. Tom Wilson says this guy sucks, so he's not on it. He can be a very good player, but with very limited upside with that hitting profile as a third baseman. Totally agree. He's going to have to hit for a high average, or else he's just not going to be impressive OPS-wise. So we'll see. The thing I struggle with is this feels like his ceiling, and he's just solid. That's the thing, too, that I would agree with. He doesn't have a crazy high ceiling. Like, you're not going to see any 850 OPSs in his future unless he's hitting like way over 300. I don't know if that he's going to be able to do that right on right in the big leagues. But I do like the short swing. I mean, I can see a little bit the fit in the ballpark. And obviously the acquisition cost is a lot different than paying $15 million for Gino Suarez. How was Durbin defensively? Neutral. So at least it's not a negative. I think the trade with Paredes fell apart after the three-team version didn't happen with St. Louis. Again, the pull in the air thing is kind of why you like Bregman, kind of like why you like Paredes, kind of why you would like Suarez. Durbin's more of the same, obviously to a lesser scale and a little bit of a different package here. Both of the Brewers' Rookie of the Year contenders gone is pretty aggressive even for them. They're just constantly, they have like a balance sheet over there, and they're just trying to come out on top in the overall value, and I think that's what they kind of needed. They needed some more pitching as well, so they gain a couple of potential guys that'll throw a lot of innings for them in Harrison and Drohan, so we'll see. I think the Red Sox needed more of a righty power bat. That was my opinion. I liked Pete Alonso as the ultimate fit for this team this offseason. They didn't do that, but let's not sleep on the Contreras move. He does have big time pop. And I know Altuve turned the swing into 30 home runs, but Altuve is a special Hall of Fame type of player. So I hesitate to compare anybody to him, but we'll watch. Maybe he will develop. You know, it'll be interesting to see. I think we have some untapped power. It's talking about the Sox. Let me go to the Sox just to take another look at this while we're talking. Abreu going to hit 40. I don't know about 40, but he's a really good hitter. And, you know, listen, Roman Anthony, hard for me to be any higher on a guy than Roman Anthony, but let's see. Let's keep him healthy the whole year, and let's see what he's capable of. I hope they give Jet and Sproat the opportunities. I miss him. It's coming from a Met fan here, I'm sure. I think with the Brewers, you get opportunity. Like, it's like when I was with the Rockies. If you were a real guy, like a potential big league guy, you got opportunity. There was no doubt about it. There was literally no way in the world you weren't going to have any opportunity, because it's not like they can just go ahead and sign a million dudes in front of you. So they're going to go ahead and see what they got with these guys, and that will be really good. Monasterio is a good piece as well. Monasterio's the infielder. Shortstop, second baseman, first baseman. With two, he's in the mid 2 years of service. Here's Monasterio. He didn't really get a lot of playing time the last 2 years with the Brew Crew. 756 OPS last year, but only 126 at bats. The profile, kind of below average offensively, average defensively. So, another guy, though, trying to pull the ball in the air. That would jive with the Red Sox plan of attack from now on. So, we'll see. See how that all goes. Brewers are funny. Don't spend much money, trade away MLB players, but keep winning. They do. They rinse and repeat. They got that Rays thing going on, maybe a little bit different, but they've had a lot of success, so I'm not going to sit here and poo-poo what they do. Joey Ortiz at third. Durbin will be consistent. They probably want another Mookie. I don't know if he'll be a Mookie, but you can see the short stroke, the squared up ability. There's some underlying abilities in there, and let's see how they do it. Pat Murphy will be eating lots of pocket pancakes in the interview. In interviews. Man, what a beauty that Pat Murphy is. Breslow really just wanted to get rid of everything connected to that Devers trade. It's crazy. That did not take long, huh? Less than 7 months, 6 months later, everybody's shipped out already. It's crazy. That happened so fast. My thoughts on Harrison are he's going to get a great opportunity with the Brewers. Being a fly ball pitcher in Milwaukee is not my favorite idea in the world, but he was kind of buried in Boston. He was going to have a hard time. So happy for him to get an opportunity with the Brewers. Let's see how he does it. Brewers are really good at developing pitching. So he's had a little run through of the car wash with the Red Sox, and now he gets to the Brewers, and we'll see what they do to him and if he can reestablish himself as a big league starter. I wanted the Red Sox to get Suarez. Could you imagine that bat with the monster? And that's what I was saying when I was saying I kind of like Suarez to them. 49 home runs doesn't grow on trees. I understand he doesn't do that every year, but that ballpark, he would have made a lot of sense. Really, that's kind of the idea anytime you see a righty with pull tendencies going to the Red Sox. You have to like that dynamic. With how much pitching is being traded, at what point do we see Gavin Stone, Emmett Sheehan, or River Ryan to get moved? Only if it's something that's going to drastically improve the Dodger roster, which is kind of hard to find a location for that to happen. Otherwise, they'll hang on to their depth, and they will make sure that everybody takes a nice vacation on the IL during the season like they always do. And then by the end of the year, they'll have all their guys back. I mean, look, they're already slow playing Blake Snell. So it's all – these young guys are part of that plan with the Dodgers. So unsure if that will happen. The best part of this trade is the Sox still have Duran early, etc. Yeah, they didn't give up anything that's hurting their chances to win right now. We'll see if Durbin adds to those chances, though. Thank you for that. That finally got announced. So check me out on pre and post game this year. A couple series a month. Durbin is a blue-collar player who won't wow you, but his hustle will make him a fan favorite. Boston need to make use of the small locker that Pedroia had. I think Petey had a big locker. When you're a superstar like that, you usually get one of the big lockers. But, obviously blue-collar type players are beloved in the Northeast, particularly Boston. Pedroia comes to mind. Everybody likes that. If Abreu didn't get injured or had 600 at-bats on pace for 35 home runs, a girl can dream. The issue is Boston's so deep. So if you're a lefty, you have to have extreme oppo power or center field power to really tap into all that. But, it's a little bit different being a left-handed hitter. If you ever shag BP in Fenway, it's just too deep out there, to be honest with you. All right, looks like Colin is here, so I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to bring in Colin McHugh, and we'll chat with him for a little bit. And then we'll circle back and see what else you guys want to talk about after that. So give me a moment. I'm going to go bring Colin in here, and we'll chat with my buddy for a little bit, and then we'll move forward. So bear with me for just a second. This is true, Dan. It was very nice. I was literally pumping gas on the way back from drop-off today, and I was like, oh, we're doing all right. We're doing good. We got some things to talk about. All right, I'll be right back. All right, guys, let me just make a little move here, as I always have to do. There's Mr. McHugh. Let me just make sure my camera's okay. There he is. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, bud?
I'm great. Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, of course, man. It's a blast. Long time listener, first time caller. So
that's classic. I love that. Well, you had me on your show before, so hopefully that comes back. I would love to. I thought you were doing a great job on your pod, so that was a lot of fun to listen to those.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was having a blast with it. When you're doing it while you're playing, it becomes kind of I don't know, it plays second fiddle pretty hard to your actual trying to get guys out on the hill. So now that I'm on the backside of that playing career, hopefully we can revive it in some capacity here soon.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be great. Okay, so before I get into a little bit about your career and some stuff I'm curious about, Marcell Ozuna signed today with the Pirates. You were a teammate of his with the Braves. You saw him kind of really go to another level in 23-24. What was that about? Like, he was a good hitter before, and then it seemed like he made a couple of swing adjustments and really took off, and it looked like last year he was hurt a little bit, and that dipped his numbers. But my hunch is this is a sneaky great pickup for the Pirates, because when he's right, he's like a top 10 hitter in the game. So I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like the move for Sherrington, for that, for the franchise in general. I mean, they could use some thump in that lineup. They could use some veteran leadership in that clubhouse. It's pretty young, pretty talented. But I spoke with Ben the other day about kind of where they're at and what they're trying to do. And so this was a little bit of a surprise for me. It wasn't on my radar. But yeah, having been in a shared clubhouse with Marcell for a couple of years, let's also not forget what he did in 20. I know it was a shortened year. I know it was weird, but
yeah, he banged in 20 too.
Arguably the best hitter in baseball that year, right? And he went out and had a really, really tough year in 21. We know the on the field, we know the off the field, but man, when he's right, what he's doing, I think, and you might be able to dive into the statistics here and show me, but his plate discipline got way better.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Look at that.
Yeah.
This is the chase rate. Look at that last 2 years. Way different.
Yeah, I remember him and Bobby Magianis, assistant hitting coach with the Braves. I remember they were working a lot on pitch recognition, about not being afraid to get into some pitchers counts. Because I think for a while it was kind of the old high school. It was like, all right, we're gonna pump a couple fastballs and kind of get by him, and then once you're ahead, just chase. And I think, his ability to control the strike zone made him a super dangerous hitter, especially in that lineup with some dudes around him.
Yeah.
I just think he's been around the game for a long time. I think he came in the league probably our first year in 2012, maybe 2013, maybe 2014. I remember he hit an absolute tank off me in Houston. He showed it to me on his phone. He still his friends were in the stands showing it to me. So yeah, guys, hitters never forget that you're locked in. If you're in their book, they own you forever.
I think he debuted in probably 14.
Yep.
But one thing that I noticed earlier when just taking a look at this was he did tangibly change his first pitch swinging approach last year. He was down to less than 19% first pitch swing. He had never really been like that before. Now I was wondering if it wasn't, partly when he got a little bit of the hip injury he had, whether he was afraid to really let it eat as much and he was hoping to kind of get himself into some better counts. But his walk rate did go way up. Like the approach worked, except that he wasn't swinging it as powerfully last year.
Yeah.
But I just think he's a really good hitter. I think it's a little bit of a fake situation when we break him down for last year that he like regressed in some way. I do think it's more tied to injury. Because to me also like his swing had definitely changed a little bit too. Like having faced him with the Mets those past couple years, it seemed to me like he got a little more narrow with his setup and he was looking to do like more of a Justin Turner, like catch the ball out front, elevate to left field, and obviously with his strength, that's a great approach if you compare that with good plate discipline. A lot of times when you're trying to catch balls out front, that makes you make a decision a little bit earlier than you want to, and so you end up chasing. But he was able to kind of buck that trend, so that's pretty impressive. And that's why I do believe, the Pirates are trying to add a lot to their offense. They had a horrible offense last year, and I think this is a sneaky great move. I really do. Between him and Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, that's three guys that hit homers. They didn't really have any of that before. So good insight there. The plate discipline stuff, I think it's going to be a big deal moving forward for sure.
He always had that toe tap too, right? Like he's kind of gone through a couple iterations of his swing over the course of his career, but when he's going really well, he's kind of like sits back into that back leg a little bit and kind of taps a couple times on that leg to make sure he's balanced. And I think when he is balanced, you're right. He's able to attack the ball moving forward and kind of like JT used to do, almost kind of scissor that back leg through it and catch the ball out front. But he's also, I've seen it multiple times at Truist. You've got the porch and right, which isn't that far off, not super dissimilar from Pittsburgh, where if you catch a ball deep, he's obviously big and strong enough. He's as strong as this table right here. He's built like a brick, and so if he does catch, especially fastballs, catches them a little bit deep and is able to be patient with them, you're going to see him drive balls both off that wall and over that in right field. So it wouldn't be surprised. It's a big park there, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him hit 25-30 this year with 25-30 doubles too.
How was he in the clubhouse? I mean, obviously people like to make the jokes about the Ozuna from the Braves and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, like O'Neal Cruz is there. Like, these guys that are like OG Dominicans mean a lot to the younger guys in the clubhouse. Do you think that he'll be a good little ingredient to mix in with some of these young guys?
Absolutely. And like I said, he's been here, he's been in the States, he's been on teams, on good teams for a long time. And so I think the thing that I know as a teammate is he cares. He cares a lot about his guys, about the clubhouse, about winning. And so I just think any injection into this club in Pittsburgh where you can just bring in a winning attitude. I think bringing in a Belau, who I got to play with in Tampa, and then O'Hearn, who I got to work with last year in Baltimore. These are just winners. These are guys who are professionals. They go about their business every day. And I think, like, when you're setting an example about how to get your work done every day as a veteran guy, I think that can almost speak way louder than whatever kind of, words you can speak. But I think they're going to bring a lot. So one of those guys is going to be on the front seat of the bus. They're going to be on the microphone. They're going to be kind of running this club from that perspective.
Yeah, I remember even last year, like Starling Marte was big for even Juan Soto and for a lot of the other guys in the clubhouse that are young Latino guys coming in. And it's important to have somebody who's been there, done that, and can kind of pass down the wisdom. Because sometimes, there is the cultural divide, and it's a little harder if all your leaders are just American guys. So I think that's a big deal for sure. All right. So anyway, I'm curious a little bit. We were briefly teammates with the Rockies. What year was that? 2013, 14 ish.
Second half of 2013. Yeah, I got traded over there from the Mets.
Yeah. So not only I actually faced you once, I hit against you one time. I think it might have been your major league debut.
I hit against you too. You're my first big league, maybe my second big league at bat.
Oof.
And it was rough. That's not a fun for anybody out there. That is not a fun right-handed at bat. I did not want it. I was not. I think you threw it might have just been a yank, like a screaming four-seam fastball that you kind of yanked out of the half of the plate, and it looked like 1,000,000,000 miles an hour. And I was like, I'm not built for this. Like, get this DH in here immediately.
Yeah. I also did not like the hitting so much. I always felt like this is not my job. Like, I'm not ready for this. But I do remember facing you. I remember you had a great debut against us. I want to say you threw like 7 innings or something against us, right?
I did. Yeah. That was my kind of claim to fame with Mets fans. I apologize to all Mets fans out there for being real bad after that for about another year and a half. But yeah, it bought me a little bit of time with that Colorado team.
So you were with us for a little bit, and obviously, it didn't go that well. We were in a bad situation over there in Colorado at the time. We were throwing like piggyback innings. There was like, Coors Field was in full effect, and at the time there really wasn't a lot of knowledge of how to combat it. So you end up having the short run there, but then you go to Houston. Everything changes almost immediately. There's been some stories about how they teach you how they gave you some advice to lean into some breaking stuff. Is that true? And can you take us through a little bit of the early development when you first got to Houston?
Yeah. Right. So they were coming off as bad as we were in Colorado, and we weren't great. I apologize to Walt Weiss all the time. I'm like, bud, we didn't do you any favors there, because I love Walt. He's one of my favorite guys in the game. Super proud and excited to have him as
he's going to be great.
Yeah. I think so. But yeah, I mean, getting to Houston, we had just lost 100 games 3 years in a row. They were kind of on the cutting edge of this. I don't want to say, tanking, but it was a rebuild from the jump, and everybody knew it in baseball, and it was getting a lot of backlash. People did not like it. But then I got there in 2014, and, they had a good young core already. And so we were kind of primed to be good moving forward if we could put it together. And one of the things from a pitching standpoint, I was really fortunate to have Brent Strom, who was the pitching coach there for all those years.
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as I got there, me and Stromy had some conversations in spring training just about spinning the ball. I had always just been a guy who, similar to you, could just kind of always spin it, kind of get my fingers to the front of the ball, whether it was here or there.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't know about spin rates really. The first time I ever heard about a spin rate was in the fall league in 2011. They were giving us like TrackMan packets, like a packet like that thick with like a ton of stats in there that none of us had ever heard of before, really. And one of the things that popped out to me was my spin rate was, at the upper echelon of big league guys. And I had no big league service time at that point. So when you're looking at guys like Kershaw and Wainwright, and then kind of see yourself in that same kind of top 5, it kind of opened my eyes. I was like, I need to use this. If this is a pitch that seems to be playing at a different level, I need to use it. So I started trying to over the next couple of years. But when I got to Houston, yeah, they just told me, they're like, listen, you do this really well. You don't throw fastballs great, but your fastball does play sneaky better when you are spinning more breaking balls. And so we just kind of developed a formula when it comes to how to use the breaking ball, using it early in the zone, out of the zone late. It's not rocket science, but it kind of it was one of those things in the very early ages and early days of statistics, I think, or of data analysis in baseball, was I knew what I was seeing with my eyes, but now I had data to kind of back that up. And so it just gives you this extra layer of confidence of how am I going to use these things that I've already been doing for a long time? How can I kind of refine? And so my process in Houston was really just refining kind of the things that I already had. I had a cutter, but I started using that top shelf almost exclusively. I had a four seam that I was trying to, as old school Mets, I was like trying to dot it down and away. I just couldn't do it. Like, that's not, my arm path didn't lend itself to get there. So kind of top third of the zone, I started throwing four seamers up there. cutters off of it, breakers, in the zone early, out of the zone late. And it just worked, and you start to see it and you start to get a little bit of confidence with it. And then, before you know it, you can run 4, 5, 6, 7 starts kind of doing the same formula before the league adjusts. And then you got to make adjustments as you go. And that's when it's really nice to have a guy like Strami there. And then as I got going, I started developing new pitches, started developing that sweeper, and just kind of allowed me to continue to evolve as a 89 to 91 fastball guy.
Yeah, it's crazy because you talk about spin rate. It's funny. I remember when I was with the Cardinals. So we're talking, I don't know. I was in a mini camp. It had to be like 07, 08. They had a TrackMan there, or the beginnings of a TrackMan, and it really only read spin rate, and nobody knew what it meant. I remember being in a meeting where they were like, "Hey, Adam, we really like your changeup. It's got a high spin rate," and of course we know now that's a disaster. But it is funny, like, at the beginning, the spin rate was the thing that we were all intrigued with, and that certainly showed Strami and you guys the ceiling of how much break your breaking ball could have on it if it's oriented the proper way. I think later we figured more about spin axis and other things. But then also you come to Colorado, and at the time the idea was, let's keep the ball on the ground. Fly balls are the enemy. But like Strami, something that I always appreciated with him is he would always say, there's a difference between a hard hit fly ball or a line drive and a pop up, right?
For
like
sure.
Fly balls are low BABIP, like they're pretty much automatic outs. So if you can combine strikeouts with a low walk rate and a high pop up rate, you're kind of cooking with gas. So it kind of allowed you, I feel like, in a way, or showed you that it was okay to be yourself out there and to lean into your strengths. And that's what we see a lot more now. So to me, you were kind of an early guinea pig in this, and an early proof of concept that style could work.
Yeah, I felt like that for quite a few years. I was tell people I was playing with house money for a long time. As I got 18th rounder, small high school, small college. I wasn't supposed to be around the game for very long, and so it was really no skin off my back to try new stuff. And so for my whole career, I was really just kind of tinkering and always trying to try new things. But yeah, I think at my best, I was probably like at least a 60% fly ball guy. I don't think it was something that I was really worried about kind of ever. I was like, if I'm getting soft contact, that's great. Got a lot of like cutters to lefties. I realized I could make myself a reverse split guy if I really was able to like locate.
Yeah. Well, having the cut to your fastball is a big deal. Because now you have like now all of a sudden your velocity is not as much of an issue. I've seen this with like Phil Maton, for example, right? Like if you lean into your fastball being a cutter, and like you can see here on the clock, obviously where your fastball was essentially a cutter, then all of a sudden they don't look at, like when the pitch models look at you, they're not like, oh my God, like penalizing you so bad because your four seam velocity isn't like above league average or whatever. But also, to your point, even though you have tremendous ability to spin the ball, which would normally be dynamic right on right, having a little bit of that cut action and the ability to locate it really plays versus lefties. So then all of a sudden now you have a plan of attack for both sides, and the computer likes it too. So there's no more of this, being judged off of some things that don't even factor into your pitching style, which I think is a pretty cool place that we finally got to. It took a long time to get there, though, for sure.
It did, yeah. And we got kind of lucky, I think, you and I, in a lot of ways, because I got moved to the bullpen. I was a starter for the first 5 years of my career, and then got moved to the bullpen in 2018. And so I was kind of having to drink from a fire hose, trying to learn really quickly about how to get guys out from that perspective versus giving myself 6-7 innings where you can make a few mistakes here and there. You can kind of maneuver through a lineup. But I remember Will Harris and Joe Smith in that bullpen in Houston kind of sitting me down and being like, hey, brother, there is no easing your way into this. You come into the game, you're throwing your best pitch from the absolute jump, and it's 0-2 every count. And so I had to kind of learn that on the go. And so I think it made me really aggressive. And that aggression, like when you're trying to spin the ball, I was talking about like being really aggressive with your hand is super important. And so I just kind of like reiterated that in my brain. And then as we started going, those being able to spin the ball, especially horizontally, as the league started to adjust top to bottom, we started kind of being able to go east and west a little bit. Just trying to stay ahead of these guys who are the best athletes in the world. They're going to catch up and they're going to figure it out. They did with me, but I got a couple years on them.
Yeah, I mean, look, they did with me too. And at one point, I was like throwing 60% of the sweepers in the league, and then obviously that shifted pretty fast. Did you feel like you had a hard time? Because you also threw curveballs for a while as well. You had an ability at least to manipulate the ball with more depth at times. Was that something that you did out of a similar grip, or is that something that was more of a mindset, or did you have a hard time with that? Because it looks like over time it became more sweeper, sweeper, sweeper. Originally, you were throwing curveballs and sweepers, but then it kind of morphed all into sweepers.
Yeah, I mean, up until 2017, I was all curveballs. That was my only breaking ball. Was a really like 12-6, but like had a little bit of horizontal, but for the most part, and I could do it. I could manipulate my arm angle a little bit when I needed to break it away from lefties or try and go back foot to lefties or away to righties. But in 2017, I had a little like elbow. I have like an anomaly in my elbow that doctors didn't really know what to do with, so they shut me down for like 3 months. But I felt good and I could still throw. So I was down in camp trying to figure out, all right, how can I get better? Like, how can I try to develop something that's a little different? I was kind of getting beat by righties a good amount. If I didn't get that cutter all the way to the edge, it was kind of a barrel finder. And then, the curveball kind of played more in the middle of the zone. I was like, I need something to get all the way away to lefties. So I started out, that same curveball grip. Going, I don't know where the camera is here. Going like top to bottom was my curveball grip. And then I started messing with my wrist angle.
Yeah.
So instead of making my arm angle lower, I just started dropping my wrist a little bit. And if I could do that, then it was much easier for me to get that same thing to the front of the ball, those fingers to the front. And so I just started kind of messing with that as a sideways curveball. And over time, it kind of evolved into, all right, I think I can throw this a little bit harder as a sweeper slider type. But ultimately, it kind of was that same break pattern, same slot, same everything as my curveball. I was just able to manipulate it a little bit differently over the years.
Yeah, I definitely think a sweeper is a sideways curveball. A lot of people think it's a slider, but like to me, like it's funny because I was watching video of myself last show pitching in the 09 WBC, and my breaking ball is so much more top down because my arm angle was higher. But it's the same spin quality. Like it's just a matter of where the arm angle is and what you're trying to accomplish. But it's the same idea. Like it's just in two different planes. So I always found that interesting. You see a guy with a great curveball, they probably throw a great sweeper if they just figure out how to get it oriented right, or if maybe they're too high. But we've seen guys with high slots doing it now as well. It's fascinating.
The Yankees being able to kind of like manipulate the kind of whirly stuff and use the seam shift in their favor. I remember who was it? Lukey, when he came over and we were playing with him in Atlanta. We were kind of talking about it and how he kind of developed that in New York, his kind of sweeper breaking ball. And I could never get that grip never felt quite right to me, kind of the split over the middle of the seams.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't feel comfortable with that.
I needed all that pressure on my middle finger, and so I was always together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how I felt comfortable too. It never made sense to me to throw a breaking ball with my fingers split apart at all. Like, no. It's funny because like Masahiro Tanaka, I'm like, how do you throw your slider? He's like this. I'm like, can't do that. Don't know how to do that.
I can't do that. Do you ever mess with this is now I'm just like, I'm so curious. Did you ever mess with the logo, like which side the logo's on?
So that's something that I thought about with fastballs for sure. Like obviously which side the ink's on. You want to keep that away from the hitter's eye. Chad Bettis was a guy who did that. And I know Jake did that. DeGrom did that. And that was something that I thought was a pretty good unlock. And you could do that with sliders too. Like you can make sure that this is the gyro spot on the slider rather than this way, so they can get a little bit more information. And I remember I vetted it around the clubhouse. Like I talked to Charlie Blackman or DJ, and I'm like, what do you guys see at the plate? And some guys did respond with color. Like I see some color, and I was like, okay, if you can try to have less color on the ball, probably better. But in the moment, I had a hard time doing it in the moment. I never wanted my brain wasn't there to go ahead and preset which one way or the other. So at times, yes, but honestly, I probably didn't loop it into my game as much as maybe I could have. And who knows how effective it really is, but it makes some level of sense to me. So did you do that with your cutter at all? I
did, yeah. I would always try and throw my cutter on the label, on the logo, so that when it was coming out, it was like trying to stay generally behind the hitter's eye.
So you're trying to like have your fingers on the logo.
Yeah, or I would do it either that or the other side, to where I'm trying to keep the ball, because when it comes out, it's obviously going to have backspin, but it's going to be on that angle like that.
Yeah, but and depending on if it's a righty or lefty, you want it so that the ink's away from their eyes.
Exactly, and it was more like I just got used to gripping it that way, and so sometimes I'd forget to do it during games, and I'd go back and look at it on video and be like, "Why are you doing that? What happened?" But sometimes we just get into like robot mode and just go out there and start doing it. But yeah, I was always trying to mess with like little things. If I get a little bit of an advantage, I'd try and take it.
Yeah, we got a comment here, Brian Alberta, on penalty kicks in soccer. If I wanted the ball to dance in the air, I'd face the air hole towards the keeper. So obviously there's some nuance with a lot of different things you can do here. I love that though. That's the creativity. When you're not pumping 100, with 20 inches of vert, you got to find a way to get these guys out. I wonder, do you think when you switched to sweeper and you had a little bit of a slower quality to your breaking ball that you could throw in zone, do you think that was a big factor in your uptick in success as well? Just the contrast between that cutter speed, fastball speed, cutter speed, and the sweeper, because to your point, you can kind of slow them down and then that pitch plays a lot differently after that?
I think so. I think the combination of it being pretty flat. I probably at my best, I was running, like a -3 or something. And then what I was doing really differently though, I was working at both sides of the plate. So I was going front hip and back door to righties. And then if you can get it in, the same thing, if you can see it on the plate early, the idea that hitters can't tell the difference between like 12 inches of break and 19 inches of break halfway there. And you got to make your decision about halfway there. So I knew that if I was sweeping it on the plate early, and at that point, you're just finding lanes. I remember like facing Judge and being like, all right, if I can throw it right at his belt buckle, he's going to either take it, especially early in the count, he's going to take it or he's going to pop it up.
You have some balls, though, throwing it right on right with the front door. How did you scout that out? Did you scout out guys who would fire or not fire on those types of pitches? Because to me, those are high risk, high reward a little bit right on right. Like, obviously, if you're perfect, it freezes them all day. But you're not likely to jam a guy that much right on right on the inside corner since the ball's running back to the plate. I've seen guys do it with great effectiveness before. Melanson was a guy who did this. There's actually a guy who was obsessed with it. What was his name? He was on the Marlins, former Yankee, starter and reliever. I don't know. There was one guy, it'll come to me in my head, but he was like every time I would watch this guy pitch, he would go like away, flood away, and then he would go front door freeze cutter on the righty. And David Phelps, I believe, was his name.
I remember Phelpsy doing it. I remember last pitch of the Royals World Series.
So Wade Davis
against Wilmer Flores, frozen. I could never do it with cutters. I always had to do it with sweepers.
With sweepers, okay, yeah.
Because I knew out of the hand, it looks like it's behind you from a right, and especially from a guy like your angle, it's an automatic freeze early in the count. So it's like it's a free strike. If I get there, then I'm buzzing like a top shelf away cutter. See if I can get a foul ball. See if I can get a take, and then I'm going to take 3 shots at getting a guy to expand. That was kind of a formula, and that was truly when I was in Tampa. Remember me and Misha, the like bullpen catcher out there, and then Kyle Schneider, the pitching coach, just kind of. It was just trial and error. He was like, can you do this in bullpens? And I was like, yeah, I think I can throw it over there. He's like, all right, try it. And so we just bop over and over and over again, try and backdoor that sweeper.
Yeah.
And then once I kind of got that feeling and you could stay closed and delay rotation just a little bit, then you can rip it. And my ripping it was going to be below the zone and probably 3 to 4 inches off the plate. And that was my kill zone.
Yeah, I my bad. I was talking cutters there. I mean, definitely the backdoor breaking ball or the front door breaking ball to the righty, like sweeper. Early in the count, it's usually gold. Most of the time, that's not what they're looking for. Unless they have unless you've embarrassed them enough where you think you have an inkling that they might come up there and hunt that first pitch that starts at them. But for the most part, it's a free strike, and then you can kind of work from there. Plus, it also helps you with your chase, right? Because if they have to swing at something that starts in off the plate, then they're a little more likely to fire at something that's still on the plate out away. Whereas like if like you never do any work inside and their eyes are out there, they have a little better judgment of the outside corner. They know your ball's running off the corner. So I always felt like that was a big factor. It's funny though, but Wade Davis, you mentioned him. He ended the World Series on that pitch. I watched his process for figuring out how to front door which righties he could front door cutter, and it was fascinating. It was, the old bats program or whatever.
Yeah.
He would pull up the bats program and he would watch righties take fastballs inside, just takes. And basically, he was looking for a guy that would either like do an automatic like back turn or like raise their hands up. And then he'd be like, "Great, they're probably gonna take it." And if the guy if the guy would go to like fire and then like take, he'd be like, "Oh, they're a little antsy on pitches in," so he'd kind of cross them off the list. Like, unless it's perfectly set up, I probably
Right.
can't do this. But he was looking for behavior on takes on inside pitches, and I'm like, man, this is like next level shit. I don't even know what's happening here.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. So you go from Houston, you're with Tampa, you end up with the Braves. That's the hometown team. You guys had some pretty damn good teams in Atlanta, including in 2022 when you ran us down in the division in a heartbreaking fashion for Mets fans, obviously. What was the experience like with the Braves? I feel like you guys were a pretty well-oiled machine some of the years you were over there. And what was that like playing for your hometown squad?
I mean, it's a dream come true. I think you understand, as a kid from New York, getting to play in both those stadiums, there's just nothing like it. I remember the first day getting to put on that jersey and just kind of like running back through my Rolodex of players that I watched growing up. Obviously there's the Maddox and the Smoltz and the Glavins and Chippers and Andrews and all those, but I'm even like going like, man, like Greg McMichael. I remember watching Greg McMichael like throw changeups and get saves in this uniform, and then you just start to put it all in perspective about, as the end of my career, how far I'd come. It was a huge goal of mine to be able to play in Atlanta. And so, but then there's that added layer of pressure too, of like, I don't want to be bad. I don't want to come here and be bad. So I better figure out how to do it.
You were great there. And it's not an easy place to pitch. People don't realize it's probably one of the better hitter ballparks in the league. I mean, the infield's fast, it's hot, ball flies a little more than other places. So it was great.
I could be wrong. Somebody's going to correct me on this. It's either the second or third highest elevation too.
It's the third,
right?
because it goes Denver, Arizona, Atlanta, and Atlanta. It's over 1,000. Like it's significant.
We're up on a plateau, but it's hot in the summer, and you want to make sure, like, for a guy who's a fly ball pitcher, I wasn't keeping the ball on the ground very often, so I was like, I got to keep this in the park. But yeah, I had some success that first year. Second year, it was okay. I was grinding. I was hurt. I had some flexor tendon issues. I had some posterior scap issues, and like, you're just grinding at that point. I'm really trying to, like, every time, you're a reliever, you're never going to turn down the ball. And so I was like, run me out there 75 times. I don't care. I'm going to do it. But it's smoke and mirrors after a while. But we had some good teams, and I think it starts with that. I think the leadership we had on the team was really, really great. Coming off the 21 championship, I was able to join a team that was excited, motivated, kind of a well-oiled machine. And, to an extent, you just kind of slot yourself in there and try not to upset the apple cart. But the Dansbys of the world, and Will Smith and the bullpen, and then being able to bring Olsen over. You lose Freddie, and it's like, the fans are heartbroken. But to bring a guy like Ole in, and just have him be as consistent as anybody in baseball in that spot was huge for us. And then, like, listen, we're the Braves. We were going to pitch. We were going to try and pitch our way into a playoff berth every year. And so I think I knew that. Our bullpen knew that, took a lot of pride in it. We're like, if we're not a top 5 bullpen in baseball, we're doing something wrong. And so that was our goal.
You guys had some dogs down there, obviously. Iglesias is special. Dylan Lee has come along. A lot of people don't know that name, but he's really, really consistent.
He might be the most used lefty in baseball over the last 5 years. Like, and once again, never turns it down. Doesn't matter. He's taking ball.
Yeah, no, it's important. I mean, that NL East is no joke. And that offense is going to put up numbers. I love Olsen as well. I wanted Olsen on the WBC team this year. I thought in my mind, he had maybe earned a good shot at that first base spot. Obviously, they go with Bryce there, but intriguing. So what's next for you? What are you up to these days?
So I've kind of been post-career. I've kind of been working my way through the baseball tree of all the different things you can do in the game. I was right out of the chute. I did some broadcasting with the Braves in 24. which was great. I've always been a baseball fan, so like I could talk about baseball all day and kind of got a chance to, which was great. Especially at home, I think similar to a lot of people in our position, I'm 38, still pretty young. I got a lot of energy, but I also have 3 kids and young kids here in Atlanta.
Yep.
So it kind of limits what you can do in terms of like geography and where I'm willing to go. But I've had an opportunity to do some cool things since then. I was doing some work with Baltimore last year, doing some kind of front office consulting with them, and learning a lot. I want to be around. I want to kind of be a sponge and learn. I know a fair amount of the game at this point, both from playing it and from being around, union stuff and being around PA and agency and commissioner's office. So I'm kind of hunting down all kinds of people who know a little bit more than I do, and trying to say like, hey, teach me what you know. And if in 8 or 10 years when my kids are grown and up and out of the nest, if I got a chance to come in and help a club try and win, I think that's what I would really, really enjoy to do.
Yeah, there's the competitive side that's still there for all of us, no doubt. And I never you won the World Series, but I never got to that point. So to me, it's like something that it's an itch that has to be scratched at some point, right? But to your point though, like trying to learn a little bit more, and learn from people that are, a little bit behind a curtain that we haven't been let behind is a big part of it. I think having that experience with Baltimore last year was really great. That's invaluable. You get a little bit of knowledge that you wouldn't have otherwise had. And every little bit kind of adds up with your on-field resume and broadcasting resume and everything else into a really attractive guy moving forward. I mean, I guess hopefully that's the plan, at least for all of us that want to stay in the game forever.
Right before I got on here, I was doing my Spanish class. I've started kind of Spanish immersion classes too, because I just think, but listen, a third of the league is Spanish speaking.
Yep.
Speaking of Marcel Ozuna, I remember talking to Marcel a couple of years ago and saying, hey, you've been in the league a long time. You've been in the States a long time. How much of what's told to you in English, like a hitter's meeting, do you understand just perfectly, no problem? And it wasn't 100%. And so to me, I'm like, I think we're doing a disservice to some of the best players in the world to just assume that, hey, you're here, you better just fully assimilate and figure out exactly what's going on, without trying to meet them where they are. And so I'm working on my Spanish. I'm trying to get better. And hopefully, at some point I can use that in a baseball world that's going to make hopefully life a little bit easier for all of us involved.
I had the same idea. Like when I went to Winter Ball last year in Dominican, and part of it was to play, but part of it was just to assimilate a little bit and learn, get on ground zero there, go to the capital of baseball in a lot of ways and see what these guys' lives are like, and unfortunately my conversational Spanish let me down. And I was very disappointed in myself, because that's important. I think totally being able to relate to all your players down the road, or being able to at least communicate 100% with those guys is just so massive and such an edge, considering that most teams are definitely falling short of that bar. So kudos to you for doing that. I think that'll pay off big time.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to learn a little bit. My kids are in school, so I figured Dad's got to be in school too.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, that's it for today. I'll bring you back some other time for sure, but thanks so much for coming on and chopping it up for a little bit.
It's a blast, dude. Anytime. I can talk shop.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much. All right. There's Colin. I say goodbye to him. And we will continue on here with the show. That was great. Obviously, very knowledgeable guy. Very knowledgeable guy. Very smart guy. So that was great. Great to get his insight on some of the adjustments he made in his career, some of what he's been up to. And that was fun. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys so much for hanging in there. And I see a lot of the funny stuff in the chat. We all know, but we'll bring him back. We'll bring him back 100%. 100%. So it looks like we have some Rays news in the chat. So we'll go ahead and look into that in a minute here. And let me just get back here into, see what you guys are talking about in here. Yeah, he was able to make it work. There's a difference between hard hit fly balls and can of corns, and I think he was a can of corn specialist at his peak. Really good pitcher, man. It's crazy. He fell 7 1/3 innings below 1,000 inning pitched for his career. Did go 71 and 47. I think he beat me in career WAR. It's really nice to be a starter. He had some really good starting years too. All right, he didn't beat me, but he's close. I guess probably in Fangraphs War, he's crushing me. But this is a reference war. But yeah, I mean, you go back and you look at when it all changed. 2013, second half of the year with us, he only got into 4 games and he gave up more than a run an inning, and it was struggle bus, and it wasn't a happy situation. But then he goes to Houston and he's totally reborn. So we'll always remember that with guys. You can never count anybody out in this game. They're usually one adjustment away, and especially if you're a guy as smart and as capable as Colin, you can turn things around. So that was a really cool, really insightful little chat there, and we'll try to remember a lot of what he just blessed us with. Man, look at some of these elite seasons, though. Look at this year. 1.99 ERA in 2018 with Houston. 72 and a third with a sub-2. Fantastic. This year with with Tampa. Timeout. He shoved really big with Tampa here as well. 1.55 in 64 games, 37 appearances, bunch of opens. I mean, that's a hell of a run right here, all the way through his first year in Atlanta. So it just shows you guys at home, like, you don't necessarily have to throw 100 miles an hour with crazy extension and all these measurables. If you have good breaking stuff and a good idea of how to do it, you can still get outs and still be quite productive. So big thanks for Colin for coming on the show. Yes, he also had Jesse Chavez out there as well. All right, John Heyman is reporting Nick Martinez to Tampa Bay. So let's go check that out. Wow, Eric Fetty signing with the White Sox as well. So he was just there, wasn't he, recently? Gio Urshela, minor league deal. He had been a Twin before, so he goes back. And Nick Martinez with the Rays. All right, so Nick Martinez was one of our best remaining starting free agent options. The Rays get him. Let's go over to roster resource of the Rays. Let's see what they're looking at right now. Let's see how fast this got updated. Not that fast. He's not in here yet. But Rasmussen, Pepio, McClanahan, Matsy, and Joe Boyle. Joe Boyle's a little bit of a wild card. But now you get a more proven guy who can do kind of a swing role, kind of perfect for what the Rays do as they mix and match a lot of their stuff. But this is an intriguing move. American League East, man. There's not one team that's not going for it. Not one team. These are the deals that just happened. Oh, and I'm sorry about all you guys with the talk of, the Mets struggles, obviously, versus the Braves and the Royals stuff. So sorry about all that, but it's okay. I cursed Colin a few times over the years. Brent Strom was a monster in Houston. Yeah, I was commenting on this thread yesterday. 0 accolades, baby. The 0 accolades crew. The pitching floodgates are about to open. We'll see. A lot of teams are gonna try to bottom feed here, so we'll see how slowly this moves. But at one point, can we stop sending dudes to the AL East? This AL East is getting strong. Really strong. Okay, so yeah. So the Rays add Nick Martinez. He's a good pitcher. He didn't have his best year last year. Let's see here. This was my teammate on Team USA the last time around. 4.45 last year in 40 games, 26 starts, 165 and 2/3. He's not really a huge strikeout guy. He's more of a variety guy. Here's the mix. Cutter, four-seam, changeup, sinker, curve, and slider, all over 10%. So that's 6 pitches over 10%. So that's a kitchen sink approach. Doesn't have a whole lot that goes very far left. Anything that goes left is marginal. Anything that goes right has excellent arm side fade. He's known for his changeup. It's kind of a parachute changeup, 78 miles an hour. So that is a 14-mile-an-hour difference off of the fastball. Let's get a look at that. It's just a little float Johnson here to Shohei. Another guy who, despite his incredible arm side run, decides to line up on the third base side of the rubber as a righty, which to me is not necessarily the best strategy for being in the zone. He's definitely trying to create some sort of angle here, but it makes it really hard to get your changeup in the zone if you're even a hair late with the hand, which is what he is here. But you can see this ball's just a little lollipop floater. That's the style of changeup that Nick Martinez has, is this, wow, somehow I clicked the exact same pitch twice. Just this floater. Here's him to a righty, another ball. I mean, I don't know how you kill speed quite like he does, but he does. And then the fastball itself is pretty verty with a little bit of a cut to it. Here's what the fastball looks like. Brett the Met. But overall, it's a mixed game. He's been quite successful. He's comfortable pitching in any role. His little twitchy thing that he does on the mound, I think, is a little bit annoying timing-wise, to face it. And it's a versatile piece, which is, I don't know what the price is here, probably not that high, but ultimately it's a versatile piece, and that's what the Rays need. They need more versatile pieces because that's how they like to do. They like to move things around. Great walk rate, doesn't get hit very hard. I guess the issue is not generating a lot of swing and miss, so it's a big contact game. If they are back in the trop this year, which I believe they are, that could be okay. But in the AL East, typically you're going to have to get some level of whiff, or you might be in for it. So this will be an interesting move to see how it works out. One thing he does have going for him in terms of the weirdness factor is this extreme arm angle, 58 degrees. I'm thinking 8 to 10 million. So I guess we'll see. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. First of all, I don't know what doxing is. If I knew what that was, I wouldn't have called you out, Maya, but I just was saying hi because you were in there, and I knew I'm smart. I figured out who it was pretty quick. So, I don't know. Let me go see the last few years in the percentile rankings for Nick. 2024 was an outstanding year. Really, 2023 through 2024 were all outstanding years. Really good contact manager, really limits slug, really limits exit velocity and hard contact. Also great with limiting his walks. This is a weird thing. The chase rate completely disappeared. What happened? What could possibly happen between 95th percentile chase and 8th percentile chase? That is such an extreme swing that I don't really know what to make of that. Anybody who watched a lot of Nick Martinez have any idea on that? Fastball spin came down a touch. That's not a big deal. Velo remained constant. What the heck happened there? Let's just go look at his... What was that? A nice one? You see he wants to use the fastball at the top of the zone. Cutter down away, changeup down in, sinker up in. Where's the whiff percentage on some of these pitches? So his top whiff pitch is slider, even though he barely throws it. Next best is changeup, and the rest are all pretty much not whiff pitches. I think part of it is he doesn't have much spin rate, so he's not getting a lot of darting action. So he's just pitching by feel a lot out there. Velocity is not crazy either. That probably hurts his chase ability, but that's a huge drop off. You just don't see that every day from the chase rate going from 95th percentile chase, garnering chase to 8th. Too many strikes? His zone percentage is up 4%. Maybe too many mistakes in the zone. I'm not seeing any change in extension, maybe a slight regression in extension, but not much. Breaking balls are getting less break. Okay, let's double check that. That's good info. Slider. Let's look at curveballs. -16 and 2. That's more break. Cutter 11 and 1.9. 11.8 and 2.0. A little more break on the slider, but not much. Changeup 5 and 11. Last year it was 6 and 12. Sinker, Sinker 14 and 13, and then year before 14 and 13. I don't know. Not really seeing that. That's just a weird one. That scratches my head a little bit. Martinez posted a 4.45 ERA across 165 and 2/3. Innings eater is exactly what the Rays were looking for. I'm not really seeing much of it, but it's going to be interesting to figure that out. How does one decide on an arm angle as a pitcher? You don't really decide it as much as it kind of chooses you. What's the way that you want to throw? What's the way you're comfortable delivering the ball? What's the way that your body unwinds easiest and most natural? And a lot of guys, to create velocity, they need a lot of trunk tilt. They get like this left lean. It's like an extra little bit of momentum as they're leaning towards the first base dugout to hike that arm up. So they're not only getting linear momentum and rotational through the spine, around the spine, they're also like leaning, and that hikes the arm angle up quite a bit. So it kind of chooses you. You don't choose it as much as it chooses you. He's going to Tampa. They'll fix him anyway. Well, I mean, Kyle Snyder got a nice endorsement there from Colin McHugh. So, anyway. All right. Sorry, you guys. Can I pronate my wrist? I mean, yeah. I mean, I can turn. I can pronate. It's not good. I'm not good at it. I'm much better at supinating, but I can pronate a little bit. It's just some guys can. Garrett Cole can go both ways. He's not supination dominant, pronation dominant. He can do both, but not everybody can. I figured you out. I figured you out. All right, let's go. So again, like this is a little move. I like Nick Martinez a lot, but I don't love Nick Martinez. This isn't a total game changer, but it's another quality pitcher for the Rays. The arm angle chooses the pitcher, Harry. Good call. And then now we got to look at Eric Fetty. So Fetty goes back to the White Sox. White Sox are the other team. You have to say the White Sox and the Pirates, you might not agree with all of their moves, but they've made a lot of them. So Fetty comes back. He was a previous KBO guy, kind of how they brought in Anthony Kay from NPB this year. But, you know, Fetty had good success, I want to say, with the White Sox before getting traded, or maybe he scuffled really bad after getting traded. I don't remember. Let's go look. But he's penciled in as the 5 starter right now. Eric Fetty Wap. Yeah, he got dismantled last year compared to the previous year. 32 games, 24 starts, 141 innings, only 83 strikeouts, and a 152 ERA. He just got hit really hard last year, it looks like. Previous year, he was great. He came back with like a new split. He had a cutter, he had a sweeper. He was doing things a little bit differently. But yeah, he scuffled a bit last year. Let me see something. So he had been with the White Sox in 24, White Sox and Cardinals. And he pitched well with the White Sox, so he's going back to a team he's familiar with. Last year it was Cardinals, Braves, and Milwaukee, and the only place he had any success was Milwaukee. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. But he was with the White Sox back in 2024. 21 starts with a 3.11 and 4.6 WAR. This is like actually the best stretch he's ever had in the big leagues. So he goes back to a place where he's had success. So I like that for him. What changed? Hey, Bubba.
I need you to take the Christmas tree now. You're almost done.
Yeah, I'm almost done. We're finishing up here in 7 minutes. You get all the stuff off the tree?
I'm flock.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you look at the 24 year, which was his best year, 55th percentile ex-WOBA, and then he went right back to who he was before that. So let's hope he can rebottle up whatever he did with the White Sox and bring it back out. I'm assuming he didn't get very much money. This could be a factor. Bannister, Brian Bannister works with the White Sox pitching. He's very, very good. Obviously, I am a factor. I love you. Obviously, he had worked with Fetty before, so there's some optimism there. Got to get that walk rate under control. He doesn't have good enough stuff to be below average in walks. So that's probably the main thing I would look at. Is he going to throw a lot of strikes? That walk rate always has to be under control. And when mine was under control, I was elite, damn it.
You're always elite.
And when it wasn't, I sucked.
You never
Well, I
sucked.
guess I never sucked except for 2 years, but it's okay.
Those were growth years.
Growth years, as my wife would say. Growth years. Taking down the old Super Bowl tree. Yeah, we're finally gotten to that point. We have so much decorations here that it has to come down in waves.
We have 11 trees.
Got 11 trees, so
We're down to the last
that's where we're at. Uncle Ted's right. K minus walks is king generally. Generally is king. You better control contact if you don't have optimal K to walk percentage ratios.
You're so cute.
He was good with the White Sox, then fell apart after getting traded.
Does everyone think you're just so cute?
You think I'm so cute because you're my wife and you love
Does
me.
everyone think Adam's just so hunky?
You're ridiculous.
You're just so cute.
That's weird. This is a weird thing that I don't have any comment on, But I have seen this guy play catch overhand. And then at what point does he rip it underhand? That's weird. Anyway, people are saying hi to you.
Hi.
People are saying hi.
Ask if anyone's seen The Housemaid.
11 trees. You had a forest.
We did.
We did have a forest.
We had 3 in the room.
Yeah. I didn't see this, Maya. I didn't see them misspell Murakami's name, but
Ask
we'll
if
see.
they've seen Housemaid.
Wait till Adam brings up glute loading pictures, you know. Gotta load the glute, you know. You like when I load my glute?
I love when you
You remember when you were helping me fix my delivery that one year and you were watching videos and you were like, it's your tushy. Your tushy's not in the right alignment.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, she fixed me one time by watching videos and she was fixated on that butt, so she knew how to fix me. It helps. All right, guys, we're regressing here big time.
No, I need you to do my tree.
I'm about to do your tree, and then it looks like I'm gonna go throw at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. You have to do a duo podcast with the wifey once. Will you sit with me one time and we'll talk and answer questions?
I don't like how
She doesn't like to be on camera
I don't
though.
like how your screen makes me
Somehow
look
she thinks the screen makes her look not beautiful, which she
terrible.
is. I love you.
I love you.
All right. Call it the 11 Trees podcast.
That'd be so good. We wanted to call it what was it? Veal parm.
Oh yeah, because I do like myself a little veal parmesan. All right, guys, that's it for today. Welcome to baseball season. A couple moves there. Probably nothing that hugely moves the needle. We know the Rays are trying, so it's great they get another guy. We like Fetty going back to a team where he could maybe be good. But the White Sox, we like what they've done. We'll watch more White Sox baseball this year, but we're not expecting a lot out of them. Red Sox trade we spent a while on. Ozuna we spent a while on. Overall, good show, good fun talk. Great having McHugh on. Shout out to Colin. Veal Parm Sandwich.
That sounds nice.
When we were first dating, well, I guess we weren't even dating yet. I called her on the we'd gone on a couple dates, and I was in Arizona right around now for spring training, and I was like, man, I'm just fiending for a veal parm. And she like did some research, and she's like, oh, you go to this place or this place or this place. So, you know, the way to a man's heart is through the belly, as everybody knows, right? And for me, it's that veal parmesan.
For me, it's your salad.
But it's gonna be great. We're gonna be killing it. The game starts soon. Stream's been good. We stay well fed here. Now it's all about me making the salad for her, right?
Oh, love that salad.
All right, I'm gonna go. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for hanging today. Have a good one. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. Hopefully some more action happens. Have a good. I always do. I always say bye.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, stop making fun of me.
Oh.
All right. See you guys.
Oh my god, you did it again.
Bye-bye.